This is Maxine Avery, a visionary with dreams of carving a path through the stars. Designing, testing, and building spacecraft can cost billions, but Max is undaunted, for she plans to bring space to her for her fortune. She began in Sunset Valley on an unassuming lot to use as a base of operations, then immediately bought a plane ticket to China. There, she would be able to learn ancient techniques of martial arts. Maxine heard that masters of martial arts can break space rocks, and martial artists that have broken at least 150 boards to complete the Timber Terminator skill challenge can recover attractive minerals from these asteroids. Unfortunately for Max, her physical prowess isn't anything to boast about, but she wasn't relying on herself to break the space rocks anyway. She theorized that it should be possible to replicate these techniques with machines in a few years, so she purchased a board breaker and a martial arts skill book before she returned home. But what happened next, Maxine could not have predicted. A portal appeared at her doorstep and a time traveler emerged, asking for help to repair his machine. Collecting the power cells was easy since the lot was small and empty. After restoring them, Max stepped into the future to arrive at Oasis Landing. Once there, she was drawn to the Nuts and Bolts Bot Emporium, which showcased PlumBots. These robots are like Sims, but they have fewer needs and can be fitted with trait chips rather than having traditional traits. This was exactly the technology Max needed to complete her vision, so she began learning the bot building skill by building and selling many identical PlumBots. The higher she leveled, the less maintenance and energy her PlumBots would require. She also developed trait chips to expand the functionality of her creations. Even in her downtime, she was reading bot building skill books to gain an understanding of how to best use the bots to mine space rocks. Soon Max was a master of bot building, and once she discovered all available trait chips, she received a discount at the shop. She would take full advantage of this. You see, Max would need a sentience trait chip, and to craft the sentience chip she would need an uber nanite. These are very rare to find in the wild, but are also rarely sold by the bot shop. Waiting for the store to restock each day wouldn't be the best way to find an uber nanite, but Max found out that buying the merchant's entire stock would give them a fresh inventory of items, and because of her discount, she could immediately sell everything she didn't need to net a small profit. Doing this, it took about 5 minutes to get an uber nanite. Max would also need the Limitless Learning, Efficient, and Solar-powered trait chips. Limitless Learning allows the PlumBot to learn skills like a normal sim, which is necessary for the PlumBots to become martial arts miners. Efficient increases the rate at which PlumBots learn skills, as well as lowering power consumption and need for maintenance. And Solar-powered refills the PlumBot's energy during the day, eliminating the need to recharge at a power station. To conserve crafting materials, Maxine would begin the trait chip crafting process, then place the ingredients on the ground. The materials are only consumed once crafting is complete, but if they're no longer in the inventory, they won't be used. With all the trait chips she needed, Max created her first mining PlumBot named Rummich after an alien she met in university. He was the pinnacle of PlumBot construction, and Max equipped him with the necessary trait chips before bringing him back to the present with her. The two of them built a small office, and they both got to work. Max started leveling the inventing skill, while Rummich read the martial arts skill book. Soon he moved on to breaking boards, and once he reached level 5 martial arts, he switched to oak boards to make progress in the Timber Terminator challenge. Max would occasionally run out of scrap to invent with, so she'd dig through piles of trash at the junkyard to collect more. But as previously mentioned, she's not well suited to hard labor. At level 6 inventing, she found the solution to this, just blowing up the junkyard. However, even this produced under 100 scrap. But other Sims made the mistake of parking their cars on the lot, and since it's okay to detonate objects in the junkyard, she wasn't fined for destruction of property. Now she had 392 scrap, but this still would not be enough. So she set her sights on the military base. This large hunter-killer statue drops a total of 1,500 scrap when detonated, which on its own is more than enough to complete the scrap collector challenge. And because this was only her first offense of detonating property on an unowned lot, she was let off with a slap on the wrist. She eagerly went to claim her prize, but perhaps a bit too overzealous as the entire game froze from her inventory being too full. If you decide to do this, be sure to transfer each stack of 500 from your inventory to the workbench before picking up the next one. By this time, Rummich had completed the Timber Terminator challenge and moved on to breaking space rocks. Now, a random gemstone would appear whenever a space rock was broken. Clicking on every gem individually to collect them would be annoying, so it's a good thing Max had invented the Harvester, which sucks up nearby collectibles over time. Though the Harvester can also make Sims dizzy while using it, and it's one of the few things that can make a PlumBot vomit. Most people would probably only need to run this setup for a few days to be set for life. But as you know, Maxine has bigger plans. After reaching the highest level of inventing, Max began building even more PlumBots. Meanwhile, Ramich went to China to buy more board breakers, chests, and training dummies. When he returned, he started instructing the new recruits so they could become martial arts miners. While he did that, Max started producing floor hygienators to complete the Master Inventor Challenge, which would allow her to make a Master Harvester that doesn't make Sims sick. Once all 5 recruits completed Timber Terminator, a hedge was made to contain the PlumBots and gemstones. If the boards are in an enclosed space, the gems will fill that space instead of radiating from the board breaker, so the hedge acted as a handy collection area for all the gems. And there it is, the Master Harvester. So Max gave it to Ramich, and now she had some time to kill. She was now going to have to wait for a very important phone call. Many who have played an Inventor Sim before would know exactly what I mean. The Master Invention opportunity, which allows you to make a Simbot. Simbots are different from PlumBots because they can have normal Sim traits. This would be important because we need a robot with the Gatherer trait. While she waited, Maxine would take a trip to Egypt to enter the Temple of the Sky and collect a life fruit. Once she found the plant, she had to wait until 5 AM for the fruit to grow. 10 of these are needed to make a Simbot, so Max planted it and allowed the PlumBot Demo to cultivate it with the Robotany Gardener trait chip. The PlumBot Flare also discovered that she could look into a mirror, and decided to give herself a more organic look. Seems like PlumBots are rife with developer oversights, but that's just what I like to see. Max had been crafting and selling time machines to make a little extra cash, and somewhere along the way she ran out of scrap. Luckily, the Hunter-Killer statue had respawned after traveling to another country, and the town council had also forgotten about the last time she blew it up. With nothing else to do, Max moved to a more spacious lot and took some time to relax until she finally got the Master Invention opportunity.
Yes.
Then she would need to collect some materials for the scientists to create a life core. First among them was palladium. There happened to be some palladium outside of the nearby abandoned mine, but unfortunately Max couldn't walk on the surrounding terrain to reach it. She wasn't deterred though, as the palladium was just in reach of the harvester. She was able to recover it and return to the science lab. Next she needed 10 life fruit, so she retrieved Demo's harvest and delivered them promptly. After that, a heart-shaped pink diamond was required. Ramich had already completed the Gem Collector challenge to unlock the heart-shaped cut, so he purchased a Gem-U-Cut machine and cut one of the many pink diamonds they had mined. Lastly, the science people needed 100 scrap, which I painstakingly dragged onto Maxine because I didn't know you could just shift-click and drag the stack onto your sim to specify how many items to give them. But after that, Max was given the life core, and she could finally build a Simbot. Once the Simbot was built, it was necessary to short them out by introducing them to some water. Then Max could change their traits to include the Gatherer trait. Gatherers produce extra gem dust when using the gem cutter, and Maxine would be abusing this quirk to make even more money from Tiberium. If you don't know about Tiberium, it's a valuable alien material that will grow into a large spire worth 30 to 45,000 simoleons, and all you have to do is let it sit out in the open for a few days. This even includes the dust, so having a gatherer cut the Tiberium can nearly double your profits. When placing the Tiberium, be sure there are no adjacent objects so it can grow. Even keep the diagonals clear, unlike what you see here. Otherwise, only a handful of them will be able to grow. Once Max had some Tiberium, she used it to get her PlumBots lifetime happiness points for the Maintenance Master lifetime reward. Up until now, the PlumBots have been taking breaks from mining to tune themselves up so they don't break down, but with Maintenance Master, their maintenance need will no longer drain, allowing them to focus solely on mining. First, they install the Sentience trait chip, which gives the PlumBots the ability to have a lifetime wish. Then they sold a large spire-cut Tiberium from their inventory. At this point, they may have gotten one of 3 lifetime wishes: living in the lap of luxury, swimming in cash, or CEO of a mega corporation. If they get CEO of a mega corporation or no wish, Max would remove their trait chips, decommission them, and make a new PlumBot, since there doesn't seem to be a way to re-roll which wish the PlumBot gets. But if the PlumBot got one of the other lifetime wishes, they would accept it and sell a few more Tiberium to complete the wish. Then they would buy Maintenance Master and pass the sentience trait chip to another PlumBot to repeat the process. With no further reason for the PlumBots to move from the board breakers, the Simbot was in charge of harvesting and cutting the gems. The most profitable cuts for most gems would be the sun, moon, or heart-shaped cuts, which all increase the gem's value 5-fold. But make no mistake, Tiberium is the real moneymaker. Selling all the processed Tiberium so far netted about 16 million simoleons. In comparison, all the other rare gems combined were worth roughly 3 million. Though that doesn't include this outlier pink diamond, which somehow cost over 4 million simoleons on its own. Gatherer sims can produce higher quality gemstones, so maybe this is a result of a glitch with that trait. Either way, every bit counts on Maxine's journey to the stars. If you're interested in following her story further, be sure to tune in when I stream Starfield on September 4th, 5th, and 6th, starting at 1 PM PST. That's all for now. Thanks for watching.